Dispatch reminded me so much of The Wolf Among Us. Now, it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of The Wolf Among Us, and I've stated on record that I believe it's Telltale's masterpiece more than once. Nothing really comes close to it, and I personally feel that way due to the characters, the detective noir style thriller that it is, the mystery, and the fairy tales that we grew up with being thrown in a real gritty New York setting in the 80s. I mean, it's fantastic, but what really sells it for me was the unspoken romance between Bigby Wolf and Snow White. I fell in love with their chemistry, their vibe, the way they looked at each other without saying much. But the quiet moments brought so much to light. It was like, can they be together? Will they be together? Will they allow themselves to fall for each other? And honestly, I wish there was more interactions between them. And so for many years, I've been waiting desperately to see season 2 and how the world has grown and how the relationship with Snow White will evolve. Now, one of my favorite aspects of Dispatch, or really my favorite aspect, is the love story between Robert and Mandy, aka Mecha Man and Blonde Blazer. To me, the story felt, and I'm talking about the game story, like a love story between those two characters. That's just my perspective. From the very first moment, it's almost like love at first sight for Robert. And then there were these quiet moments leading up to them kissing, and then quiet moments leading up to them sharing a date in episode 4. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why the story between them felt so damn good and so damn familiar, so damn loving. And those quiet moments were amazing. The love was there, and you guys know I'm a sucker for a good love story. Now, I've said that before, and I don't really care, but The Wolf Among Us and Dispatch sit as number 1 and number 2 as my all-time favorite episodic style games. And the reason that these love stories and these characters work so well is due to the writer behind them. Pierre Shorette is a former Telltale writer and the lead writer for The Wolf Among Us back in 2013 for season 1. He wrote the entire episode alone and influenced the writing for the rest of the season. Now, Pierre left Telltale Games and co-founded Adhoc Studios, and he was the lead writer for the game Dispatch. Now, he has many other honors and credits, but I want to focus on his work on The Wolf Among Us and Dispatch today. A few weeks ago or a few days ago, we had a video discussing cut scenes in Dispatch, and Pierre was the one giving the interview. He stated that the game Dispatch wasn't necessarily a love story. That's not how it started, that's not how he envisioned it. But when he wrote the characters, or when he writes characters, he tends to lead into the romance of the characters. And I think that's honestly one of his biggest strengths, due to the connection that Bigby and Snow shared, and the connection and the chemistry between Robert and Blazer. I highlight those due to how much I personally enjoy those portrayals. His writing isn't like loud or in your face, it's more quiet and subtle. Now, with that being said, there's a pretty big fear for The Wolf Among Us Season 2, as the lead writer, Pierre, is no longer working on the game. Originally, Telltale and Adhoc were working together on The Wolf Among Us 2, and Pierre was giving an interview alongside Nick Herman, who directed episodes of The Wolf Among Us Season 1, and they stated that they wrote a Season 2 completely, but Telltale weren't ready to make it, and they couldn't sit around and wait, so they left the project to work on Dispatch. They said that they don't know if anything they wrote or worked on for The Wolf Among Us Season 2 will make it into the final game. That's a scary thing for me, because I really don't want the game to lose that element, that vibe from Season 1 that made it so special. And I specifically want or hope that the relationship between Bigby and Snow is also well taken care of. Almost like a slow burn kind of thing that started in season 1 and continue hopefully in season 2, because it can't all just be fireworks and love. It needs tension and some uncertainty to make the payoff worth it in the end. But honestly, even with all that uncertainty, there's something comforting about recognizing Pierre's work. When I played Dispatch after loving The Wolf Among Us, I felt familiar. I felt his storytelling without actually knowing that it was him. In the quiet glances, the pauses. And like I mentioned earlier, he doesn't write loud romances. He writes the kind that just builds in silence, builds slowly. And the truth is, not many writers in games or in media currently do romance that way. Most studios push love into some freaking like cliches or quick moments to ship online. But Pierre writes like it's something that forms naturally and slow. That's what I freaking love about his characters. So now looking towards The Wolf Among Us Season 2, without Pierre, there's a fear that the nuance could slip away, that the slow burn is maybe forgotten and these characters launch into it in an unrealistic way for them, you know? Now, at the same time, the fact that he and Nick Herman wrote a full Season 2 script, even if we don't know how much will survive, gives me some hope. I think Telltale would be pretty freaking dumb not to use the script or his influence in Season 2 in any way. Even if the new team rewrites or goes in a new direction, Pierre's version of these characters has already defined how most of us, the fans, see them. Maybe Season 2 will surprise us. Maybe someone on the team understands exactly what made Bigby and Snow work, even without Pierre. Now, I will say this final piece on Bigby, Snow, Robert, and Blazer. In The Wolf Among Us, Bigby and Snow represent a long, slow burn shaped by years of struggle in their former world and in the new world. Struggle with themselves, struggle with their past, and loneliness. Whereas in Dispatch, Robert and Blazer represent more of a kind of spark, something new, something unexpected that builds quietly in the middle of the chaos that Shroud brought to the city. When Robert was down, she came and helped him up. She saved him. But honestly, I feel that both romances rely on those smaller, quiet moments, and that's the Pierre Shorette's signature writing. And the difference, I think, is that Bigby and Snow never let their emotions out and they never explore them. But in Dispatch, Robert and Blazer lean into them and they're both just great. So let me end with showing you two of my favorite scenes that represent what we talked about here.
I'm glad you're not dead. You stopped breathing, you know, when you passed out or died, I guess. It kind of scared the hell out of me. I've never seen you like that. And when Swinehart arrived...
Snow, I'd never leave you.
Was that less of a mistake than the first one?
A little bit.
I'll take a little bit.
Hey, I'm Mandy.
Robert. It's really nice to meet you, Mandy.
Likewise. Would you like to have dinner with me, Robert?
I would love that.